Now we're going to learn how to make an error bar graph from the raw data that we've collected. We do not use these columns of data to make graphs. We convert them into averages and add standard deviation information. So the first thing we'll do is write the word average and then standard deviation. And then we're going to ask Excel to do these calculations for us, and I'm going to teach you how to do the shortcuts. When Excel is being called on to pull out an equation, you always begin by typing an equal sign into your cell. And then what you type next depends on the function you're asking Excel to do. We're asking it to do averages, so you type in the equal sign under your column of data, and then you type in the word average, and you see that as I start to type, a bunch of words come up, so now I will double click on the word average. When you see the word average come up with parentheses, you know that you're ready to select your data and then click or hit the return button, the return key. So this 1.2 is the average of this column of numbers. An even bigger shortcut, if I want to get the average for this column of data, is to click Command C, copy this equation. That is actually an equation even though it looks like a value. And then click that cell, Command V. Now I have the average for this column of data. Now you could do that type of shortcut because I have the same number of values for each of these two columns. If they were different, I would have to put the equation in here as well. Now I'm going to call up the equation for standard deviation. So equal, and the call sign is STDEV, and I double click that. And I see my parentheses, so I highlight my data, return. Copy, Command C, paste, Command V. Now I have the standard deviations for these two columns of data. When I make my graph, I want to use or include as much information as possible with the original graph. So I'm going to highlight these two terms, copy, Command C, paste, Command V, because these are going to be my x-axis labels. Now I'm ready to make my bar graph. So I'm going to highlight the x-axis labels and the averages without the standard deviations. Do not include standard deviations here. And then you go up to where it says graph, and I apologize that this menu bar is all in Japanese, but you will have nice English to work with. So click on graph, and we're going to make a nice simple bar graph. Click on the bar graph, and there's my bar graph. So you can see I have these two x-axis labels, but I want a y-axis label. So click on the y-axis, then you go to the term that is graph layout, then you see axis labels here. I'm going to go to my y-axis, I'm going to choose this one, and now I'm going to write in the term for my y-axis label, and it's going to be average number of female clusters. So now I have x and y-axis labels. I don't need this because my labels are clear enough. And the next thing I want to do is add the error bars. So the way you add error bars is to first click on either one of the columns, and then you'll see they both become highlighted. And then you go up here and you see this little icon for error bars. And you're going to click all the way down at the bottom. It's going to be the same on your English version. You're going to click the one at the bottom. Click the one at the bottom. And then you pull up this image, and you're going to, it's already highlighted, the one with the double whiskers. Then you're going to choose the customize, customize further, and recall that an error bar is showing you the deviation from the average above the average and below the average. So you're going to need to highlight these standard deviation values twice so that you can get your error graph going up and below, above and below the average here. So that's what these two blank cells are allowing you to do. The first thing you're going to do is click on the graph that's allowing you to add your positive error bars. So select your error values, your standard deviation values, and then click on the little graph again. Then click on this graph, which is allowing you to select your negative standard deviation values, but of course they're going to be the same. So you highlight those same two numbers again, click your little graph again, click OK, and voila, I have two different looking error bars, which means I did it correctly, and this is your error bar graph.